I want you to think about that for a minute, Daniel. The market's at all-time highs. For Nvidia, all-time high, right? Trading above 150. You know what the market cap is for Nvidia now?
No, but it's the largest, right?
Know.
It retook number one.
Yeah.
So it's got to be 3+.
3+, right? But I'm like, oh, I wait, it's 3.8 trillion. 3.8 trillion. How many bears told you to sell Nvidia in 2023, 2024? Do you guys remember?
I remember a promo.
Listen, the whole AI trend is over. Then you had DeepSeek, right? Released its AI model. We did a deep dive on that. We had great contacts and told you, listen, back up the truck on Nvidia, trade down to 118, right? To over 150, 155. Again, in April, it fell to under 100. Fell again. And we said, buy the crap out of it based on value. Because if you look at the massive growth that company is seeing, it is the biggest bargain of every Max 7 company, and you're up 50%, right? So, and that's since April. So this is a name that we've been high on, but just the bears, I always think, this is what I hate about Wall Street. There's no accountability. Like when we get something wrong, we come on here and we say it, right? We're like, oh, Oklo, I got wrong. And I'm like, wow, there's no revenue for the company and people are still signing contracts for shit that's going to be like 7-8 years out. Be careful. A lot could happen in like 5, 6, 7 years. But the things that we get wrong, we highlight because that's how you learn. But all the bears that told you, and a lot of these guys are just telling you, and they're not even writing their shit, and they're saying, oh, Nvidia's going to crash because they're getting clicks and then you're going to subscribe to something else or whatever. Yeah, Nvidia is just the greatest company on the planet. It really is. It deserves to have the biggest market cap. It's unbelievable growth. They're always ahead of the curve. They're working. You don't see technology companies do this often. They sit down with every CEO. I mean, you see Jensen come out with these CEOs. I mean, they're working specifically. They don't have, hey, here's our broad product and here you go. They're tailoring it. 10 years ago, they decided to do this and said, listen, we can't just be hardware. We got to be software. Let's tailor it towards every industry and get even more personal in every business. And they're listening to their clients. And that's how they built these amazing chips, which, again, they're just so far ahead of everyone else. AMD, though, I will tell you, AMD, we traded this, not successfully. AMD, I didn't like. I actually bought AMD for my personal portfolio yesterday because the research that I've been doing in this industry, Daniel, where Supermicro and the rack systems and even Dell that were recommended, if you look, they're all talking about AMD's new generation chip. And they're saying that their new liquid cooling systems work with NVIDIA's chips and NVIDIA's top chips, and now AMD's top chips. So I never heard that before. And now you're hearing it where they still have they still not near where NVIDIA is, but you're seeing them really aggressively start to, and I don't want to say catch up, but now it is an alternative for a lot of these guys and some of their clients. And I think you're going to see revenue explode for AMD. I think AMD finally figured it out and really did a good job to try to be in a pallbearer NVIDIA. And that stock, I think, is going higher. But yeah, just the Max 7 stocks, everything going through the roof right now. And not all Max 7 stocks, though, right?
No. And that was what's interesting. And I wanted to talk to you about, because if you would pull up some charts, so whatever you want to use, FinViz or anything. But I was looking, we're basically halfway through the year. Here we are at the end of June. Frank, can you believe that? End of June.
End of June.
Go ahead and start with Nvidia because it is an all-time high. But this is as of yesterday, and I was using Seeking Alpha and their little just click on month returns and things. So these are prices as of yesterday, and I was looking here. Frank, would you be surprised or disappointed to know Nvidia as of yesterday was up 15% year to date? Would you have taken higher or lower if I had to ask you to guess?
Wow, that was a good question. I don't know. I figured it was up like 10%. I would have said 10%. I would say it's lower than 15%.
Yeah. So Nvidia, I would have guessed higher just because of that. But listen to some of this. Apple, I want to ask you, what do you think the common theme is here, Frank? So we're going to play some Jeopardy in that sense. Apple is down, as of yesterday, about 19.5%.
20%. I got it up. I'm doing the comparisons.
All right. Now let's go to Amazon, big dog, minus 3% year to date. Meta,
I hope you're writing percentages because I'm checking them real time.
I'm saying as of yesterday. Meta, 21%. It's got to be higher than that today.
23%, yeah.
Microsoft, big softy.
Microsoft.
Up 17% year to date.
20%, yep.
Google,
I can't believe Apple's down 20% year to date. Holy shit. That I wouldn't have guessed. Although they're getting sued now because they still have I told you, right? I said this like 2 months ago. I went into a Comcast and they have a big videotaping people. They have a big display there. They have a big display there, and they're saying that, buy the new iPhone with Apple Intelligence. I'm like, it doesn't have Apple Intelligence. I'm like, you got to take that shit down. And now they're getting sued for it. So, yeah, who else? Microsoft?
No, Google.
Google
should be down 10%.
Google is down 10%. Yellow right here. Yep.
And then Tesla, another big dog, down 19% year to date. So, Frank, you have Apple, Amazon, Google and Tesla. Let's take Tesla out because it's a little different than the other ones. What do you think is the divergence between these big cap stocks and their performance so far in 2025? Do you think AI, am I being crazy thinking AI is starting to make differences in between specific companies?
It is. And that's the thing with AI. Like, I think people just think like it's AI in general. Like, oh my God, AI. There's so many facets of AI, right? There's software companies with Salesforce. Okay, you look at Snowflake. Snowflake, I hated for a long time because I'm like, this disrupts their business. They seem to got it right? They seem like their stock is doing a lot better. Their offerings are doing a lot better. They're starting to sell more, right? They're incorporating correctly. And you're looking at software companies. You're looking at marketing companies incorporating. Even Meta's like, hey, we're going to be using AI. You're looking at journalist companies, journalism, right? Everything. It's editorial, right? These stories are writing themselves now. You see on so many sites. Even New York Times has adopted it. You're looking at a healthcare level, right? So AI is helping every company individually. And that's how you have to look at AI. It's not like, are you involved in AI? AI is like a type of software that's helping your business. And the way you use it as a company, you're going to see those results where I don't know if everybody knows the amount of layoffs that are taking place right now across technology. The layoffs are massive. They're under the table, but they continue to lay off employees on even the Mag 7 companies, right? So the ones that associate with AI, because it's not because that business isn't good. Stocks at all-time highs. Their earnings pretty much at all-time highs, right? We're seeing earnings grow. They're going to grow 14% this year. They're going to be at all-time highs. So the earnings are growing, right? They're not cutting costs because, we're not growing earnings anymore and their business is declining. They're growing because they're finding easier ways to do business that are less costly, that are more productive. That's when you have to look at AI where, you can look at the electricity players, right? Holy shit, like those things are going to take off. You can look at the nuts and bolts, right? We look at Micron just report. We get to that in a minute, right? Blew out the numbers. Stock is up 2% today. People are like, why is it up 2%? Because it's up 70% in like the past 3 months, right? So leading up to this, it's up tremendously and people expecting prices to come down a little bit. I'll get more into that for Dram and whatever, what they cover. But they are seeing AI, right? So there's different levels of AI where you could play the nuts and bolts plays, you could play electricity companies, you could play some of these software plays, even healthcare, even biotech companies that are using AI systems, right, to get drugs to market even faster. So when you look at AI, Dan, to answer your question, AI is driving a lot of this, but in different ways than people imagine. It's not just large language models. It's not just inference. It's different for every single company. The companies that are getting it right are just able to increase productivity dramatically. And you're seeing that with earnings. I mean, earnings are growing 13%. Dan, we talked about this where people say the market's so freaking expensive. It's at 22 times, 21 times forward earnings. It's so expensive. It's not. It's more expensive the past 5 years because it was only growing Earnings were growing 10% annually. And it was trading at 20 times forward earnings, the S&P. Right now we're looking at the S&P trading at a higher multiple. Yes, 21 and a half times, but we're growing earnings at 14% now. Right. So if you're looking at a PEG ratio, if you're looking for and you're calculating growth, which you have to factor in growth to every valuation, it's amazing that the productivity gains that we're seeing right now are just, I feel like there should be more research on it on an individual level on companies on how they're using AI. But you can't just say, is this company involved in AI? Does this company have software? Do they use computers? Like that's how you have to look at AI. It's just how do they use it the best way? And the companies that are figuring it out, you're seeing it. You're seeing this, this pull forward where, holy shit, some of these names are just on fire right now. A lot of these around AI.
Yeah, the layoffs will be interesting to watch because if you had to guess, Frank, I know we've talked about different layoffs across Microsoft and stuff. If you had to guess, say, 3 years from now, I wonder what the differences will be in employment numbers. So let's say, and I'm just having fun here, let's say Microsoft has 100,000 employees globally. In 3 years, do you think that'll be higher or lower? And I would do that across whatever big caps we want to pick from. And the knee-jerk reaction would be, in my opinion, to think, hey, it's going to be significantly lower. And by that, I mean 10% would be significant, in my opinion. Not right or wrong, just Daniel's opinion. However, Frank, I have this weird feeling that it's either going to be flat or even higher. What say you about that? And I know 3 years is an eternity with all this, and there's millions. I'm having fun as a conversation, but I want to think about this.
It's an interesting conversation. I mean, you could take a company like, say, if it's a food or clothing company, and they're using AI to manage operations better, say in their supply chain, right? So they're going to cut their employees by 10%. However, because of the productivity gains, it's going to allow them to open more stores, which means you're going to hire more employees, right? So, the way you look at it is automatically, they're going to lay off, so many workers. And Microsoft, they cut 6,000 jobs in May. Microsoft, right? Doing great. Microsoft, 6,000 jobs. That was in May. They just announced they're going to have thousands of more that are going to be cut. You're seeing this. You're not seeing them in like major headlines. They're probably like buried in the 10th biggest story of the day or whatever, especially on the CNBCs and Bloombergs and stuff. It's a good question. And I hate saying I don't know because it doesn't mean like, you're on the fence and nobody wants to hear you're on the fence. But I just explained an example where it would work, where it could probably increase jobs, but it is increasing productivities for these companies. And you should understand as an employee, if you're working for a company, understand AI. How is it going to help your job? How is it going to make you more productive? That's going to make you incredibly more valuable, not just to your boss, because the amount of money that people with AI experience are commanding right now are freaking insane. It's $250,000 minimum. And that's for someone who barely knows AI. If someone can come in there and change the landscape of it, which is incredible. But learn about it. It makes you more productive. It's not only going to be good for your company, but it's going to give you that job security. You can go to other places because you know how to use AI and you're familiar with so many of these systems. And this is definitely a new wave of technology that we haven't seen. It's incredible. It's moving the needle. It's game changing, and it's going to continue. Like, again, spending is continue. I mean, the hundreds of billions of dollars these companies are spending is remarkable, and you could see it filtering down to all the suppliers who are just reporting blockbuster results across the board. All these suppliers, all these chip makers. It really is incredible. I think you'll really love Wall Street Unplugged Premium. The Wall Street Unplugged Premium is my members-only podcast where I dive even deeper into this week's events. Tell you specifically what moves you can make today. Specific investment ideas I'm recommending and tracking each week. Also, the news we're picking up from our network of insiders. And becoming a member is super simple and super cheap. So head on over to WSUoffer.com to check it all out. Sign up today and you won't miss a thing. That's WSUoffer.com.